Good afternoon. Orlando Sanchez here, joined by my dear co-host.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're seeing a picture.
We're seeing a picture. I
So
wanted
tell
to
us
introduce
about the
today is
picture.
a show about strong women. And so we have a great program with you, but I wanted to share with you that I happened to have lunch yesterday with Marlene Esparza. Do you know who Marlene is?
Well, for the picture, I can see that she's a boxer.
She's a world-class, undisputed, undefeated boxer from Houston. She went to the U.S. Olympic team in London when she was 16 years old and had the opportunity to meet her and spend some time yesterday with her. And she's absolutely a delightful person. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her. She recently fought in San Antonio and was victorious. But I encourage all Houstonians to check her out, support her, go to ringside, buy tickets, and cheer on our Houston champion, Marlene Esparza, world-class boxer.
So be careful with.
Be careful. I was very careful not to upset her. I even asked her if she would be my campaign bodyguard.
I'm glad that you were very careful to not upset her because you have this ability to upset women.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
But I'm just the kindest, gentlest gentleman.
This is the first time that you face a woman that is a boxer.
Wow.
So, of course, you need to be
I can
careful.
imagine, getting hit by her left jab, and I'm like passed out on the canvas.
Absolutely.
But no, she's a delightful person. Very, just very engaging. Was very curious about what I did, and we had a good conversation. I really enjoyed meeting her, and I wanted to give her a shout out because today we have a lot of strong women on the program. Not the least of which is Angela Box, well known to Houstonians. She's actually from across the Red River up in Oklahoma City. She hails from Oklahoma City and comes from a very strong, independent thinking family. She at one time had visions of being a movie star. We all think Angela's a movie star anyway.
Well, she looks gorgeous.
She's absolutely gorgeous. She's articulate. She's sharp. She doesn't lay down and take it. She gets up and she fights. And she actually was a school teacher at one time. And apparently something happened, I recall. But she was early on. Before podcasts were popular, there's a podcast called Tommy's Garage. I actually appeared on it. And Angela was a regular on there. And so she's now on the Isaiah Factor on KRIV here in Houston, which is Channel 26. She's been featured nationally. And so let's bring Angela Box in to...
Smart. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And strong.
Right.
That is like being a boxer
without
knockout.
I'm surrounded by strong, beautiful women.
Yeah.
Angela,
we are
Marlene,
beautiful, strong, and
you,
smart.
And soon on the program, our next U.S. Congresswoman who's going to recapture the 34th
She's
Congressional
going to come
District.
to the fight again.
She's going to fight. She's going to get up off the campus.
Just fighters,
fight.
This program.
It's women fighters. That's what I like. So, Angela, welcome to the program.
Hello, Orlando. Hello, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
Hello, beautiful. I saw your picture when you sent it to me by email. I said, wow, beautiful, smart, and talent. And also fighting for our conservative values. Bravo.
Thank you.
You know what
my story is
wait,
bananas.
real quick, just so everybody knows, Angela has a Spanish name. It's Angela Caja.
Angela Caja.
Yes.
La Caja de Angela.
Angela Caja.
So listen,
Yeah.
Angela,
When
tell
I was
us
an
your story.
actress- I think my story can be easily summed up with God is amazing, and all of this that is going on, I credit to God. So when I was growing up, I always thought I was supposed to be doing something big, right? And I thought at the time it was acting because I'm a good actress. So I went out to LA, and then but I was always like really into politics, and I've always been a conservative. I've never pulled any punches. So I, got chewed up and spit out from that. And then I kind of fell ass backwards into teaching, as I like to say. And that was never really my raison d'etre either. And I kept getting moved around different schools. I worked in a really tough school with children that were low socioeconomic. It was kind of the hood. I called it Thunderdome. But these were great kids that had no one fighting for them. and I loved doing what I did. I loved the teaching part of it. But as teachers can attest, so much of what teachers do is bureaucratic crap, dealing with administrators, dealing with ever constantly changing curriculum, dealing with parents. So it wasn't an ideal fit for me. And I do remember when I got this new job and I started to do Tommy's Garage, which was this little blip on the radar late night cable access show. And I thought, okay, my passion is politics. I should be able to have a private life, and I should be able to do that. And I remember 2 weeks before everything blew up, this was November of 2014, I looked at my class and I thought to myself, well, I'm not supposed to do anything big. I'm going to live for the summers. I'm never going to get married, and I'm going to drink too much. And that's what I thought my life was going to be. And then in November 10th of 2014, everything changed. And I got a call from someone at Fox 26, Randy Wallace. He was like, hey, do you want to comment on this, the story we're getting ready to run about Tommy's Garage? I was like, oh boy. And it just totally blew up. And Quanell X got involved. And for those people who don't know, Quanell X is kind of like our local Al Sharpton. He got involved, and he basically defamed me in a citywide press release that said I said this horrible quote that I didn't say. I had to sue him for defamation. I had to get out of my teaching job. And then I fell into working with the man who was my lawyer, who was a political consultant. Started doing that. As time went on, I did more and more media appearances, got my podcast, and now I have a Saturday morning show on AM 1070 here in Houston that hopefully, God willing, is going to turn into something bigger. But, it really goes to show you, God had to shake me from my complacency, because over the years, I've had little God winks of, you're like, for example, in my freshman year of college, my broadcast teacher was like, you're really good at this radio. You should maybe consider doing this. I talked with Sean Hannity years and years ago, right when he first started out. He literally called me and was like, you're really good at this. You should do this. I would get called in from radio stations in LA when I would call in as a guest. They were like, hey, do you want to come into the station? A random guest. And they would bring me in to do a segment with them. So these little God winks throughout the years of like, no, honey, you're not supposed to be an actress. Even though you're good at it, you're supposed to be doing this. And now basically every avenue has been taken away from me. I've been fired, Orlando or Andrew, I've literally been fired from every job I've ever been had, okay? Like basically, or asked to leave. So this very narrow thing of being a media personality and kicking ass and taking names and being a napalm bomb to leftists, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's what I'm doing.
Well, Angela, we have a very similar story. I wanted to be an actress all my life, and I have a father that is an engineer, and I am from Colombia, and he told me, like, hell no that you're going to be an actress. That industry is not good. It's destroying our values, and it doesn't accomplish everything that I've been doing here in our family. So I said, okay, what I can do that I can use my talent as an actress, and also, please my dad, but have a career. So I choose to be a journalist in broadcasting. So we have a very similar story, and I kept my conservative values, and I was doing the news for 15 years, and I was using my talent to be on camera and to act, to communicate with our community. And now, fast forward years later, I'm doing this program with Orlando.
Isn't that amazing? Because we, as actresses, we think this is the path, what we're supposed to be doing, but in reality, we can use, like you said, we can use the acting ability we have to communicate conservatism and liberty. It's great.
Let me ask you a question, because I want to get back to education. I'm assuming that I think you and I have on numerous occasions bumped into each other socially, so I think I've told you, and I think You know this because Channel 26 had extensive coverage of this, which is the station on which you appear with Isaiah Carey and others. In December of 2018, Andrea and I held a press conference in front of the Hattie Mae Administration Building, which is HISD, where we called on the governor. Basically, we were calling on the governor to once and for all take over the HISD failing schools in the school district. I don't know if you remember, but we were attacked. About 9 Houston police cars ended up showing up. What was a press conference at 3:30 in the afternoon ended up going live at 5 o'clock, where I had water dumped on my head by one of the protesters. And it has led to the governor the following week saying that HISD was a disaster, and he announced that he was instructing Morath.
He tweeted that.
He tweeted that.
Yeah.
He was instructing Commissioner Morath to begin the process of taking over HISD, which, as you know, has become a fiasco in and of itself.
Right.
The Houston Independent School District or its activists filed lawsuit in state district court, which went to the Court of Appeals. And then recently, about 8 months ago, the Texas Supreme Court said, yes, the statute is valid. The governor can instruct the commissioner to take over HISD. By the way, the bill was written by Harold Dutton, an African-American who is sick of seeing, as you say, the poor kids not getting an education. That's what we were fighting for, is the kids and the taxpayers. The highest tax rate in Harris County is the school district tax. And yet we have failing schools. We have Phyllis Wheatley School, which graduated Barbara Jordan, one of the most dominating figures ever in the U.S. Congress, failing these kids, failing the taxpayers, failing the parents, failing the state of Texas. So your thoughts on this takeover, do you think the outcome will be positive? Do you think the state can make a difference?
The people I met yelling, I spent a lot of time in the last couple of years going to school board meetings and, reading the Riot Act, and other parents did as well, reading the porn books in the libraries, etc. Unfortunately, when we're dealing with leftists, and leftists run the educational system, most leftists are very dumb and very arrogant. And I like to say dumb and arrogant is a dangerous combination. And it truly is. Because these people, when they try and reinvent the wheel every 2 years, bringing in new curriculum, or maybe we'll bring in Chromebooks and that'll help. No, nothing will change until these leftists that run the school districts understand that what they've done is a total failure. And a big thing that they've done is refusing to discipline Black and brown students. Because in the Obama years, and I was a teacher during this time, Obama had a directive that said, you are not to refer Black students in particular for behavior discipline. And, as a teacher who would have behavior problems, you're hamstrung, because you're not allowed to send the behavior problem to the office to be disciplined. You're not allowed to corporal punish. You're not allowed to keep kids from recess. You're not allowed to make kids write lines. You're not allowed to sit kids out. You're not allowed to have detention. So there's all these things that the education bureaucracy has gotten so wrong. And because it's run by leftists, they will not admit that they were wrong. So the major thing that needs to happen in HISD is they need to get discipline under control. They need to reestablish boundaries, structure. They need to bring back workbooks. They need to bring back language arts and math textbooks from the 1970s and 80s. They need to take the pornography out of schools. They need to do very simple things that the left will never do, because again, they will have to admit they were wrong, and they will not admit they were wrong. So it's going to continue to be a disaster.
I went to both public and private schools, but I can tell you my 7th and 8th grade coach would be in the state penitentiary today for all of the swatting and all the pops I got. We had a principal at a Catholic school that I attended to. I can't tell you how many times she slapped me.
So you were not
and
behaving.
and when
so you
I,
were not behaving.
and when
Are you accusing him or?
when I was in high school, we had what's called PH, Penance Hall.
Still, my son graduated from there, and he
PH.
used to have couples.
But nowadays you can't swat a kid. You certainly can't slap them like Sister Teresa used to slap me, and you certainly can't refer them to penance hall where they have to sit there for an hour and do homework. I mean, it's God forbid. No, I agree with you. I mean, you have to have a sense of discipline. That's one of the reasons I've thought we ought to maybe use the Israeli model, where all young people in Israel have to serve 2 years in the IDF, right? The Israeli Defense Forces. If for no other reason, the military inculcates discipline upon everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to get up at a certain time. You got to shine your shoes. Your uniform's got to be creased. Your bed's got to be perfectly made. You got to attend class on time. And you walk out after 2 years as a disciplined soldier.
Mm-hmm.
We even show up on time, unlike our Latino friends.
I wasn't in the military.
No, you never show up on time. You needed to be in the military.
I am here on time. The problem is that the on time for you is a different on time for me.
Yeah, right. But
I am perpetually 15 minutes late. I must have some
You're probably Latina.
Mm.
You see?
Well, all right. I think Angela's going to stay on. Is Myra coming on?
Yeah, she's just texted me. I am 5 minutes away from home.
All right.
So as soon as she gets home. So, Angela, so tell me about your podcast. How did you decide to start your podcast? How did from the beginning till now? How is being developed? And I mean, where people can listen it and not only listen it but contribute to the podcast, because the only way to expose what is going on and to do something about it is to help each other to spread the word.
Yeah. So it's it's again a series of God winks is all I can say to lead me to where I am now. But the reason I started my podcast on Raging Elephants Radio, which is run by a Black conservative named Claver Kamal Amani, Claver and I became acquainted when my case blew up in 2014. And I might add that I was in the Daily Mail 3 times. I mean, it was international news what happened to me. The left tried to cancel me in 2014. I was one of the first people they tried this to. And I was like, nah, I'm not apologizing. I'm not backing down. You can kiss my ass. So anyway, I was on
Love
the
it.
This is a family show, Angela.
No, it's okay.
sorry.
It's online. She can
Kiss
say
my
that.
culo. Kiss my culo. Beso mi culo. All right. I think culo. I don't know. Did I say it right?
Yeah, cool. Oh, you're referring to me.
Oh, yeah. Sure, we'll go with that. Anyway, so Claver was like, you need to come on as a guest. So I was a regular guest for a while. And then he said, Angela, you need your own show. So he helped me develop that. And then a friend named Carolina Galvan, who is a production guru, she helped me revamp my video setup. And then I started filling in for Sam Malone over at Christmas. Sam Malone was a radio station host at Town 1070. He's no longer with the station, but I filled in for him for a couple of Christmases, and they really liked what I was doing. So I have the opportunity to do this Saturday show. And if anyone wants to help sponsor what I'm doing, I mean, yeah, I definitely need the help, because I'm hopefully going to be turning this into a daily show at some point. You can reach me at angelasoapbox1 at Gmail. But it's on my broadcast show is Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on 1070 KNTH. I then transfer it over to my podcast. So it's a little confusing. I've got Angela's Soapbox, which is the Raging Elephants Radio, which is Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And then I've got the Angela Box Show. But the good news is you can find everything on wherever you get your podcasts. I have it on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. If you just look at Angela's Soapbox, it's a pink logo, and the logo says, Angela's Soapbox, I say what you're thinking. So you're in the right place. It's a labor of love, and it's a labor of, this is my calling. and I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And every little bite of the elephant, I'm getting closer and closer to what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's not just about, and Andrea, I'm sure you understand this. As an actress, you're like, oh, the end goal is to be famous or to be well known. And for me, because as an actress, you weren't able to say what you really think, right? But this you're able to. So it's not a matter of I want to be well known. No, I want to destroy these people. I want to destroy these leftists because they richly deserve being destroyed. They are destroying every single thing about our culture, about our country. They are warping young people's minds. They are erasing God from our society. And so my goal of both of my shows is exposure and humiliation. And on that end, and I hope I could say this, I also a treasurer of a couple of PACs. I have a state PAC called Save Texas Now and a federal PAC called A Stronger Texas Fund. I have a genius idea for a billboard campaign against Sheila Jackson Lee. It is genius. It will get national, international news. If anyone wants to help fund this, we're running out of time. Please contact me because I'm telling you, it's simple and it's genius and it will humiliate her. And Sheila Jackson Lee has never been humiliated because, as y'all know, you can't criticize the black lady, but I'm going to humiliate her, and that's my goal, to destroy.
So my question to you is, are you a University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State fan, or University of Texas or Texas A&M fan? Where's your loyalty in terms of football go?
Honestly, I don't really care about sports. I did go to Oklahoma State a couple of years. But then I transferred to a school called Oklahoma City University, which incidentally Kristen Chenoweth graduated from, because I want to be an actress. And my dad was like, listen, honey, I'm not paying for a theater degree, so you better figure something else out. So I actually have an advertising degree. So working with a consultant, writing copy, coming up with taglines, coming up with campaigns, it's all in my wheelhouse.
All right.
Well, Angela,
she's agnostic when it comes to football between like the University of Texas and the Oklahoma Sooners. You got to cheer for somebody. When UT plays Oklahoma, who do you cheer for?
Oh, I root for OU, but as you know, as a
Traitor.
Lady, as a woman who grew up with a dad that went to OU and a mother that went to OSU, my mother would be rolling in her grave. She's like, you cannot ever root for OU. I'm like, listen, after you leave the state. I mean, after I moved to LA, like I don't care. I didn't care. Whatever.
Right. We have another traitor in the house. Her daughter went further north to Arkansas.
My son is going to A&M. I have twins, so my son is going to A&M, and my daughter is going to University of Arkansas.
My niece is looking at Arkansas.
Beautiful campus, beautiful state.
Yeah.
I really fall in love with that area.
Oklahoma's beautiful when tornadoes come through.
I've been covering tornadoes back in my time as a reporter. I was covering tornadoes.
Angela, what's the best thing about Oklahoma? I remember that they they had a license plate one time that says Oklahoma's okay.
I know. That license plate was so facepalm. It's like, that is so Oklahoma. Our best license plate was when it said Oklahoma Native America, because we have a lot of history of course, it used to be Indian Territory. I mean,
and Comanche
the fact
country.
that our state, from what?
Comanche country.
Yes. Well, the 5 civilized tribes, as they called them. But I don't think Comanche was in there. Maybe it was. But anyway,
yes,
our state song, the song Oklahoma, became our state song after the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. It's like we just borrowed from all these things. The best part about Oklahoma, it's funny because as an Okie, I love where I'm from, but I also love being in Houston because, weirdly enough, I love the humidity. It's good for the skin. And Houston is a really great amalgam of Oklahoma City and LA. It's like you get the small town, because it's a big small town, but it's still a big town. There's plenty to do. Oklahoma, the best part about it is, I mean, it's the people. It's the people. But would I want to live there again? Nah. I like it here. I like Houston a lot.
All
So
right.
we're waiting for Maida. She's about to connect, but I want to ask you because I've been seeing this wave of women getting involved in politics more and more, and not only involved in politics, but involved also in conservative politics.
Right.
So how do you see that?
I mean, I think that people are realizing, especially now when so much is at stake, when we have the federal government. I'm not a parent, but don't have them, don't want them. But a lot of people are parents, and I certainly advocated for children. And I think a lot of women are realizing just how weaponized this government has become against families, become against children, become against normalcy. And more women are standing up and saying, listen, we're not the minority here. You freaks are the minority. 20% of you or 25% of you that are going to go to the mat for transitioning children and mutilating children's genitals and keeping our border wide open and taking children to drag queens. And those 20 to 25%, those people are lunatics, but they have taken over our culture. So people have to understand, they have to become more emboldened and realize that. And Andrea, the fact that we're able to do what we do, and Orlando, you too, so openly now, it's very freeing. And a lot of people that have regular jobs, they don't feel like they can be that free, because what we have, of course, is the
The
Black
woke,
Rocks of
the
the
woke society.
the
But I
the
tell you, there,
ESG.
there are some bright spots. I have been watching with amazement how InBev, which is the parent company of Anheuser-Busch, which, as you know, produces Busch Light, which was the number one beer in America, has plummeted. They have lost nearly 30% market share. I read this morning by the Wall Street Journal that it continues. It continues. They continue to be punished. And so I'm thinking to myself, I love capitalism because Americans used capitalism, their pocketbook, to make a statement. They didn't march in the streets. They didn't do anything drastic. They simply quit buying the product.
Yeah.
Same thing with Disney. Americans
And
got
Target.
fed up. Disney advertises they're there for families, but you get in there and then they start brainwashing your kids. Bye bye, Disney. What used to be a treasured family entertainment corporation in America is now in the doldrums. And to
And the
me,
Disney movies,
I mean,
everything
it's
about
amazing
Disney.
that Americans have used capitalism, the free market, to send their message. Man, I think that's beautiful. I think Myra's on.
I think Maria's on.
You
No,
She's having problems.
she
Okay.
has. She's having
I am
problems.
going to, for full disclosure, I'm on the board of a hospital. And today is our hospital board meeting, so I'm going to slip out and I'm going to turn it over to the two dynamic women, which will be joined by a third dynamic woman from the Rio Grande Valley. Her name is Mayra Flores, who, as you all know, became the first native born Mexican U.S. citizen who came here legally and applied for naturalization, became a member of the U.S. Congress. She is a fierce fighter, talking about fighting women, because we started the program with a famous Latina boxer that's world class. And then, of course, we've had Angela, who's also a fighter. But also another well-known fighter is Mayra Flores, our dear friend. So she'll be hooking up, but I am going to, Mark, slip out. If you can show Mayra and Marlene's photo again. I'll see you guys next week. And Angela, I'll be seeing you pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll see. Of course, I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Okay,
Okay.
Orlando. So I'm gonna keep talking to Angela. Well, Mayra is having technical issues. Hopefully, we can have her on the show at least 10 minutes. I want to talk about her coming back to fight for that position, to fight for the Latinos in South Texas, to fight for our community, because she was doing a fantastic job in the federal level. So let's see if she's gonna reconnect, and she's calling us right now. So let's see if Mayra has a better no. She has not. Uh, Mayra Hermosa. Okay, I think she's having technical issues. So if we're
Hello?
not lucky to have
There she
her
is.
today, if
I
we're not
hear
lucky to
her.
Hello,
have,
everyone. You can hear me, but you can't see me. I don't know why.
okay, Mayra. Oh my God. Okay, let's try with your picture, and we can have your voice. And if we're not lucky enough to bring your
uh,
face to your video, well, we can try next week to have you back because we really want to see you again. We're very excited when I saw the
Absolutely.
announcement on the news and on social media. I was like, oh my God,
Thank
she's
you.
back to the fight. So tell us while we're at least seeing your picture. Tell us. So what is going on right now, Mayra? A lot of things in your plate.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about our race to see the fruit of our hard work. 22 cycle was a very important year for us here in South Texas. We won the special election. Unfortunately, due to redistricting, we were not able to win our reelection and we ran out of time. But now we have all the time to be able to get the message across the district, and we're working very hard. We're going to be knocking doors. We're going to be making the phone calls that we need to, doing, Spanish and English commercials, telling our story and how it's so important that we fight for our values, values that were instilled in us by our grandparents, by our parents. And our children's future is worth fighting for, protecting their innocence. Building a strong economy, securing our borders is very important. But another thing that is very important for us is to fight child trafficking. The United States is number one consumer in child pornography and child trafficking. And for us to be able to eradicate child trafficking, we need to put in place policies and laws that protect children and that put these monsters in prison for the rest of their life. And we need to make those changes. And yes, we need awareness, and that's why it's so important that people go out and watch Sound of Freedom to be able to spread that awareness that we need in our community, in our country. But we also need to put pressure on our members of Congress and the White House to put in place laws that protect children.
Maya, you were in office for a certain time, not long enough, unfortunately. What do you learn from that experience, and what do you are implementing now, not only on the campaign, but if we're gonna be lucky to have you back in that seat, what do you are now prepared? Because you have that experience not only on the campaign, but being in the office, in the position. So tell me, what is the strategy right now that what you learn and now you bring it back?
I learned a lot. I learned the importance of us, reading a bill. Something that I learned in Congress was that the title of the bill doesn't always match the description of the bill. And they do that because they know that most Americans, right, will just read the title of the bill and assume that that's what the bill is about, right? We don't actually read the bill. And I'll be honest with you, before I got in Congress, I wasn't reading the bills, right? I was just, you know, reading the title of the bill and just assuming that that's what the bill was about. So it's so important that we take the time to read, to inform ourselves so they don't take advantage of us, because that's what's happening. People in Washington, people in leadership are taking advantage that we're not informed to put in place policies that end up hurting our community. And I believe that, the government, those in leadership and the White House wants our community to be ignorant. They want to keep us poor. Why? So they can continue controlling us. They don't want us to think for ourselves. They don't want us to question them. They forget that they work for us. Washington works for us. We get to tell them what to do, not the other way around. And so I learned in that time that, we have been lied to. We've been told that only certain people can be in that position, right? That only people that graduated from the best universities can be in Washington. Only people that have had 10, 20 years of political experience, right? With the good last name. And what I realize that is that these positions are for people like us. We need more people like us in Washington leading this country that understands what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, that understands our story, our journey, our culture to representatives in Washington. That's the people that we need because the people that we have in Washington are very disconnected. They don't know us. And the reason why is because they're not us. That's why
Absolutely.
they don't
They don't understand our culture. They don't understand
yeah,
what we're
they
living.
don't know us. They don't
And
know
they don't
us, and we
understand
get
the border.
surprised.
They only
They
see it
don't
from
understand
the
the
news.
Absolutely. They don't understand the border. And a lot of people say, they claim they're for migrants. Well, if you're for migrants, wouldn't you want them to not go through the trauma and the abuse that they go through? Because the Mexican cartel is in full control of the southern border. So anyone who crosses the border has to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. I spoke with a mother that came in with her 7-year-old daughter and 8-month-year-old daughter. She was raped over 50 times, the mother,
Oh,
over 50 times. And she said,
Jesus.
I was just grateful that they didn't do anything to my daughters.
oh my
And she
God.
said, every country that I was going through, I was abused. This is the first country that I step in. And this conversation was in Spanish. She said, cuando llegué a Estados Unidos fue el primer país donde los hombres no abusaron de mí.
Oh,
The United States was the first country I stepped in where men did not abuse me. The men in the green, los hombres de verde, the men in the green are good men.
the
They
border patrol,
respected
and you
me.
have a husband that is
Yes,
part of the border patrol.
yes. She said, los hombres de verde, the men in the green that I was afraid of because they were men. But these men were different. And this is the country I want my daughters to grow up, a country where you're not abused. And that really struck me, and no one should have to go through that to accomplish the American dream. So if we want to help migrants, we need to focus on the legal process because illegal immigration not only hurts migrants, but it puts the American people at risk too. Because not everybody that's coming in is coming in with good intentions. We also have those on the terrorist watch list. We have drug traffickers that are bringing in poison, fentanyl, that is killing hundreds of Americans every day. That is killing our children and parents. If you have not taken the time to talk to your children about fentanyl, please do so. Do it today if you haven't. Today, do not wait. Talk to your children about this dangerous poison that will kill them instantly. And just because it hasn't impacted your loved ones, do not wait for it to impact you for you to care because we need to care just as much now.
Mayra, we also have as a guest Angela Box, and I don't know if you had a chance to hear a little bit of her story, but Angela has a really good story, and she was a teacher, and she wanted to be an actress, and it's a long story short. Now she's fighting to preserve our conservative values, and also she has her own podcast talking about politics, conservative values. So Angela, do you have a question for Mayra?
I mean, I'm sitting here in rapt attention listening to what Myra is saying. And, as a gringa over here, it's what I love to hear is the perspective of Hispanic people about this because um, what Myra is saying, this is terrible for migrants. And I was on Isaiah's show last night. There's a story that's being blown out of proportion right now because Texas has put razor wire on the border, and the hand wringers are saying that the illegal crossers are getting caught in this razor wire and they're not being given water and all these things. And the fact that I love Myra's perspective of the fact that we are literally incentivizing people to take this horrific journey. And like Myra was saying, paying thousands of dollars to cartels, paying, getting raped, having their children raped, having their children trafficked. We've got this Biden administration has lost 85,000 children. There are 350,000 unaccompanied minors that we know of that have been crossed over the border, some as young as 2 and 3 years old with no parents. What the purpose of this is obvious. These children are being trafficked for either regular slavery or sex slavery. And for the left to claim that they are for people and they are for children, as these children are being brutalized, and I love that you brought up Stand Up Freedom because they don't want us to see this. Myra, we need your voice in Congress. And I know now why they wanted to get rid of you. And I love that Stefanik and McCarthy and the entire leadership is now behind you to get you back in. And I'm very gratified to hear your perspective.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And listen, you're right. This administration has lost track of 87,000 children. And these are children that came in, unaccompanied children that came in with a little paper in their pocket with a name, with a phone number and an address. And what the administration did was call the so-called uncle, because they all claim to be the uncle, they all claim to be the aunt, and we just take their word as if evil doesn't exist, and we send these children to them. And then a month later, we follow up because they're the sponsors, right? We follow up to 3 times. We call them once, they don't answer. We call them again, they don't answer. We call them again and they don't answer. So then we check on the location, and they're not living in the location that they gave us. So we don't know where they're at. And I remember under the Trump administration, there were 500 children that we didn't know where they were. 500 children. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Which it is. If I don't know where one child is, that's a lot already to me. Right. Mm-hmm. So under the Trump administration, it was around 500 children. I remember the outrage from the Democrat Party. I remember, AOC's crocodile tears, I remember. And now we're talking about 87,000 children, and they are not outraged. They're not speaking about it. No one is
the
being
media is not doing anything. They're not flashing the administration.
Hipócritas, because this should not be political. These are children. I don't care what their legal status is. Mm-hmm. I don't care where they're from. They're children. As adults, we should be wanting to protect our children. We're obligated to protect them, because the moment we took them in, I feel that we're responsible, because we are sending these children to potential child traffickers. In the United States is the number one consumer. The number one consumer. We shouldn't even be a part of this list. We're the greatest country in the world. We should not be the number one consumer in child pornography and child trafficking. And Mexico is the number one supplier. Thousands of children go missing in Mexico, then are brought here into the United States illegally to be sold into child trafficking. This shouldn't be political. This shouldn't at all. It makes me so upset, because these are children, and these children right now are praying for us to come and save them. And people are playing politics with these kids.
Absolutely. Mayra, you've been seeing this firsthand, because not only you live in the border, but you have your husband that is a border patrol agent.
Yes, absolutely. They're saving thousands of lives every single day. They're, getting kids that are being abandoned in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of at midnight, left to die. If it wasn't because of our border patrol agents, these children would die. Under this administration, we've had more migrant deaths than any other administration. No one, these, groups, these migrant groups, where's the outrage? Where is the outrage from them? If under this administration, we've had more migrant deaths. If it wasn't because of our border patrol agents, we would have way more. And law enforcement, they're doing the best that they can. And this administration, all they do is attack our law enforcement. Come and see the job that they do. One day, that's
Exactly.
all I ask. That's all I ask Kamala Harris. She's
Yeah.
just the worst vice president we've ever had in
Ugh.
history. She's
I think
useless. We are not claiming
AOC.
her. I do not claim her as being the first women being the vice president. I do not claim her. Again, she's useless. She does absolutely nothing. I have no idea how she got elected. She cannot even have a full sentence, say a full sentence. I mean, I'm just blown away. We have two ignorant people literally leading our country. And like as if I mean, we would do a better job. I would do a better job than that she's doing. I would do a better job that Biden is doing. All of us here would do a much better job. But see, they claim, oh, they have decades of political experience and they graduated from the best universities. What good does it do if you have no common sense and no love for our country? It means nothing to me where you graduated. Nothing,
And
absolutely
that's the
nothing.
key, the love for this country, the love for our country. And I am from Colombia, and you were born in Mexico, but I was born in Colombia, and I came to this country 25 years ago, and I love this country probably more than I love my own country, because this is the best country in the world,
Absolutely.
the land of
Absolutely. And look what we're
opportunities.
doing. Exactly. And look what we're doing. Here we are, migrants, fighting for the United States of America because we know what it's like to live somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Washington is full of people that were born here,
They
that
don't
were
know
born
better.
here that were born here, raised here in the greatest country in the world, and look what they're doing.
Hmm.
We love this country more than all the elected Democrats put together. And that's
Absolutely. They
because I
take
was
it for granted, this country.
they take it for granted. I wish that we could do a trade-off, right? I wish we could send
Oh
these
my God, yeah. Let's
socialist
do like
communists,
college do,
right?
they do student exchange. Can they go and
Yeah,
live 1 year? 1 month. They cannot survive one
yeah.
month there.
No, no round trip here. One way.
Yeah, only one
Yeah,
way.
one way. Leave them in Venezuela and in Cuba, and instead bring us some freedom lovers, in this
Exactly.
country because that's what we need. We need more people that love this country. I remember my dad telling me not too long ago, that for a long time, he just didn't feel like an American because he didn't know proper English. And I said, Dad, you are more American than all the Democrats in Washington. These people in Washington, they speak English, they were born here, and they have no love for their country. You love this country, you respect this country. You are more of an American than they are. I don't care what language you speak. Love this country, respect this country in your own language. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of the United States of America, that it allows you to embrace who you are, your culture, your language only in America. But in return, America asks for you to love her back, to respect her you know and you have
Yep.
people that were born here, raised here, burning the flag, burning their communities. I mean, just burning our country down. And these are people that were born here. So when people tell me, oh, I've had people tell me, Myra, you weren't you born in Mexico and you're running for office here? Yes, and I'm running for office because I love this country,
Yeah.
because I don't
Absolutely.
want this country to become the country I left. We came here for opportunities, for freedom. That's what it's all about. And
Exactly.
I'm not going to allow the far progressive Democrat Party to destroy this country where, I was raised, where I grew up, and this is my children's country as well, and it's worth fighting for. It is. And I encourage everyone in the United States of America to join this fight, because this isn't, my fight. This is our fight. And I know we say this all the time, this is the most important election of our lifetimes, but this really is the most important
Yeah.
election of our lifetime. We cannot afford 4 more years of Biden. We can't.
No, 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 no.
We can't.
God help
We
us.
have to keep the majority in the House. We have to get the majority in the Senate, and we have to win the White House back. We have to, if we want a future for our children.
Absolutely. Well, Mayra, thank you so much for being with us. Tell us where we can find you, how we can support you. When is the deadline to register to vote? All of these details that is important for our people to know.
If donate whatever you can to Mayra Flores for Congress.com. Every dollar counts. Join the fight. If you're not able to, you can help us by making phone calls. If you live in the district, would appreciate if you can help us with block walking, because this isn't my campaign. This is our campaign, and we're also in all social media platforms. We're on Facebook as well, Mayra Flores. We're on Instagram, Mayra Flores for Congress. We're also on Twitter as well, Mayra Flores for Congress. And we'll soon be having a lot of meet and greets in the district. So please stay tuned and join us. I would love to get to know you. Would love to hear you and your concerns, and hey, why not hear your constructive criticism as well? That's what it's all about. So I can't wait to meet all of you.
Absolutely. And we're going to have you back in TLC, hopefully seeing your face. And Angela
Yes.
will love to invite you to her podcast.
Yes, Myra,
Absolutely.
you must come on and do my shows.
Absolutely. We'll definitely make it happen. Again, thank y'all so much for having me. God bless you. And thank you, Andrea. And thank you, TLC, for all the amazing work that you do throughout the state of Texas. God bless y'all. Keep up the good
We
fight.
love you. We love you, and we're going to
Go
be
get 'em, Myra.
fighting with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mayra. Well, Angela, thank you so much for also being with us. And well, now you have Mayra face to face, virtual. Unfortunately, we couldn't see her, but we were hearing her message, what she was saying, and definitely we are all together in this fight, and that's the only way to make things happen if we get together on this.
God is great and God is moving, and we just need to remember that God wins. God wins.
Okay, Angela, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for staying with us and tuning with us every Wednesday here at TLC Live. Well, reminding you, go to our website, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. And I want to remind you guys also that we're having Leadership Latino August 4th and 5th. It's coming up. So if you haven't registered, register. Is the best opportunity that you can have in person to learn from A to Z how to run for office, or how to become a volunteer, or how to get involved in politics, because this is the time that we need to make our voice sound. Is very important for us. And Texas Latino Conservatives is a platform, it's an organization that is being the voice not only for the Latinos, for the whole community, and we need to be together to fight and to preserve our conservative values. So nos vemos el próximo miércoles a las 11 de la mañana en TLC Live. Chao, chao y muchas gracias.